And I want to know today, are you ready to change the way we do things because you want a different result from the results that we've been getting for the past 10 to 15 years? I know I do. And I'm going to share with you some information again. Some of this you've already heard, but I think that as Moses had to do with the hard-headed Israelites, we have to be repetitive. We have to say these things over and over and over again, as Moses was instructed to tell the children of Israel. Tell them this all the time, throughout the day. Paste it on their foreheads, put it on your doorpost. We need to have a mantra around economic empowerment, because we know that in the 21st century, as it was really, in my opinion, in the 20th century, even though we neglected to do it, in the 21st century, economic empowerment is the civil rights battle. The civil rights battle. We have attained public accommodations, we have attained voting rights and all the other things. We've elected all these politicians to office, but yet we still fight for economic empowerment, which is what we should have built first. We did have it prior to integration. We had a strong economic base all across this country. We had economic enclaves all over this country. But then all of a sudden, when we got our civil rights, some of our leaders made us think these were civil privileges. It's a privilege now to go and spend your money with someone else. It's a privilege now. You don't have to stay in the Man's Hotel up on Chapel Street. You can go downtown and stay at the Gibson Hotel. You don't have to patronize the black theaters anymore around the country. You can go to the RKO Albee and the Lyric and the Palace. Yeah, you can. It's your right. But it certainly wasn't a privilege. It's not a privilege to be able to go to the bathroom with someone else. It's not a privilege to drink out of the same water fountain as someone else. It's not a privilege to eat in the same restaurant with someone else. It is a right that we fought for and should have fought for. But it's certainly not a privilege. And as we perceived those civil rights as privileges, we took our money away from our own people, away from ourselves, and gave it to someone else. Thus, now in 2009, we're having the same kind of conversation as we were having, say, in the early 70s, as we began to walk away from our businesses. Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? Just like the Israelites did, they were complaining when they were in the desert. Oh, we should go back and be slaves again. We had it better back then. Now, what have we been doing for the last 40, 45 years? Walking around in this desert called the United States, complaining about what we don't have. But why don't we have it? We don't have it because we have conducted ourselves inappropriately when it comes to economic empowerment. That's why I harp on this so much, because I know it's very important. As Marcus Garvey knew it was very important, and many others before and after him. You have to know it's important as well, and you have to be willing to step up and stand up and do something about it. Not just to lament about it, not just to complain about it, not just to place yourself in the status of victim when it comes to economic empowerment. You have to be proactive. You have to let people know, look, we're going to change this relationship with you. We're going to change our behavior from inappropriate behavior to appropriate behavior when it comes to our children's future. That's the stand I would love for us to take, and I hope you take it. We're going to talk about about 2 or 3 things that are very important to us here in Cincinnati when it comes to economic empowerment. You've heard the conversation around the Small Business Enterprise Program with the City of Cincinnati. That's been bannered about for the last couple of years, although many of you just started hearing about it over the past few months. We knew from the start in 2002 that this program would not work, because it's the same program under which black people were discriminated against, which caused the city to do a disparity study or Croson study to find out if they had discriminated against us. Certainly they found out that they had. It's a shame they had to do a report to see that, but that's the way it works. So once they found out that, yes, we have discriminated against black people and others, we're going to come up with a remedy to change that. What did they come up with? A small business enterprise program. The same kind of program under which we were discriminated against in the first place. We went to council, myself and others, and said, this is not going to work. You need to go to a race-based program, not a race-neutral program. If we were discriminated against based upon our race, how in the world are you going to fix that problem, remedy that problem by instituting a race-neutral program? Makes all the sense in the world. City decided to implement the SBE program, the small business program, and thus we find ourselves in 2009, some 10 years later after the Croson study was started, the disparity study was begun, we find ourselves in the same situation, complaining about being discriminated against. The numbers are horrendous. The percentages that we have received from the city in terms of contracts, at least through the SBE program, are just atrocious. The mayor, the city manager, everyone says that, it's unacceptable. It's just terrible that black people have received less than 1% in some cases of all the contracts. $1 billion was spent in the last 2 years, 2007 and 2008, and out of that $1 billion in one category, black people received something like $700,000. So we have a significant problem. We know that. But as Einstein said, if we keep doing things the same way, we're going to keep getting the same results. We're going to keep getting less than 1% if we keep doing things the same way. So I'm here today to tell you that we need to change our behavior. And once our behavior changes toward those who oppress us and toward those who discriminate against us, as Amos Wilson said, once our behavior changes, their behavior will change. Are you willing to change your behavior? That's the bottom line. If you're not, read Albert Einstein's quote, because that's exactly what you're going to get. The same thing you've been getting, which is virtually nothing when it comes to your tax dollars that are going into the city's coffers that are being doled out to contractors, many times without a cent of it going to black-owned businesses.